And joining me now to discuss all of it is former NATO Supreme Allied Commander, retired General Wesley Clark. Great to have you on the program, sir, to talk about all of it. Wanted to get your take on where we are right now. But first, I want to listen to what Trump said about stopping Russia's war in Ukraine. Let's listen together.
In my opinion, they should stop the war immediately. You go by the battle line wherever it is, otherwise it's too complicated. You'll never be able to figure it out. You stop at the battle line, and both sides should go home, go to their families, stop the killing, and that should be it.
Of course, it's not that easy, right? Trump is shifting from Ukraine, could win back all of its territory, to Moscow, to keeping the territory after, saying this week that Moscow may be ready to make a deal. So let's start with just getting your take on all of it.
I think the president really wants to try different formulations to try to bring these two parties together. And he thinks he can do it by the right language and so forth. But this is not like Gaza. In Gaza, both sides were ready to stop. In this case, if Putin wants to stop the war where it is, he can do that immediately. He's not ready to stop. And for Ukraine, they can't afford to stop fighting. And so this war has a dynamic all of its own. It's likely to continue. And we have to understand in the United States that the success of Ukraine in defending its territory and emerging as a sovereign state is critical to the stability in Europe. And the stability of Europe is critical to the U.S. economy, as well as our ability to deter China in its quest for Taiwan. So there's a lot riding on this, and the president's trying different formulations. But in the end, Putin's going to keep going as long as he thinks he's winning. So we're going to have to put enough pressure on Putin against the economy, against the chemical plants that are producing oil and lubricants, and against the forces on the front line that Putin decides, look, I better stop where I am, because if I keep going, I'm going to lose more. And that's the way this war has to be ended. And I know President Trump doesn't want to take direct action against Russia. He's trying to do everything to avoid that. But ultimately, it's going to be U.S. leadership that holds the line against Russia. That's simply a fact.
You just got to wonder if another conversation is going to do it. Of course, people are very hopeful. And also in his meeting with Trump, the Ukrainian President Zelensky stressed security guarantees as something that he deemed essential. Let's listen to that.
The most important thing for people in Ukraine, which are under each day's attacks, to have really strong security guarantees. NATO is the best, but weapon is very important. Allies on our side is very important. And between us, for us, bilateral security guarantees between me and President Trump is very important.
Zelensky taking questions from reporters there in the cabinet. What guarantees do you think Ukraine can realistically get, though?
In 1994, the United States promised to defend and protect the boundaries and sovereignty of Ukraine. It wasn't a legal guarantee, but it was an executive promise. We're failing to do that. So a real guarantee means we would go to war on behalf of Ukraine, or NATO would, or Britain or France or Germany would, if Russia moved against Ukraine. That's what a security guarantee is. And for all the discussion I hear in the press and hear from European friends, they don't really understand that. They think a security guarantee is let's put 5,000 troops in Western Ukraine, and it's a real symbol. This is not about symbolism. This is about a real legal commitment that if Russia were to move after a ceasefire against Ukraine, they would be at war with NATO or a coalition of European nations or the United States. That's what a security guarantee is.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.